Hi, I'm Tyson with Portfolio Planning. I wanted to talk really quickly. The last couple of weeks, we've done a lot of work in the retirement roadmap and retirement readiness type of planning. And I wanted to bring up 10 tips for you to ask yourself before you retire. And these are questions that we try to include in the process. And there's a lot of information, it's a lot of transition. And we want to make sure we're having the right trains of thought and we're incorporating some of these questions so they don't turn into gotchas once you step into that retirement phase of your life. Do you want to help your children or grandchildren with the cost of education or weddings? We don't want to put you on a strict budget and have you step into the retirement phase of your life. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, we want you to pay for weddings. By the way, we want you to pay for education for the kids or for the grandkids. And now you have this unanticipated burden on your budget, and we have to make adjustments. And we want to make sure that you're comfortable. We know what's going to happen. And if we plan for something to happen, like a wedding or a second wedding, and it doesn't happen, you get to keep the money, but at least we had a plan in place, and we could dust that plan off and put it into action, or we can keep it shelved. And but we want you to be ready. Next question: do you want to own a vacation property? Is this something that you want to live in multiple climates? Like in Vancouver, we have a lot of snowbirds. They go down to Arizona, they go down to Palm Springs, and they get to enjoy and have less pain in their joints and really be in the warmer weather year round. Is that something that is important to you? Is that the plan? And what does that look like in terms of cost? So we want to make sure that we're building that in. We're having that conversation early. Are you going to sell your home and downsize and maybe help use some of that money to finance your retirement? And this is definitely a question where, coming out of the 80s and 90s, to downsize and invest the rest was a strategy. And if you're going to stay in the same neighborhood, will it work the same as we anticipated? In the Vancouver area, a lot of townhomes and apartments, they're in the $1 million range if you're in the right neighborhood and you have the right square footage. And so you might not be investing as much as you thought, but it's definitely a consideration. Will you start a new hobby? Is there something that you've always wanted to do that you're like, when I get to retirement, I'm going to do that. I'm going to travel and I'm going to paint. I'm going to fly fish. I'm going to golf. You're going to travel. If there's a new hobby that you know that you're going to start, what does it look like? How into it do you want to be? What's the anticipated cost? And how do we work that into your retirement planning? Will you volunteer? This is definitely a question that we want people to think about because it comes to capacity. If you go from working, 40 to 80 hours a week down to nothing, that sudden shock to the system can be um, it can be very odd and can have odd consequences on you. So we want to know, hey, do you want to volunteer? Are you going to put your passions to work in an area where you're not worried about being compensated, but you want to have impact in your local community or in your field of study or in something that you feel very near and dear to your heart, like about? Next question is, do you want to work part-time? This is a great question. So with all of the talk of preferment, and especially with my business owner clients, sorry, a lot of talk about retirement. There's now something called preferment, which means that you want to gear down and you don't want to stop working, but you want to work part-time and you want to choose your hours and you want to be able to utilize and leverage your lifetime of experience and all of your accolades that you've accumulated and put them to work somewhere. But you don't want to do it on a full-time basis. And so working part-time is a really smart move because it keeps you engaged, it keeps your capacities and it keeps the wheels turning, but you also get to turn it off. And maybe you're working, 2 days a week, or maybe you're working 1 week a month or something. And working part-time can be really good for your retirement and give you a balance where you get to enjoy more, but you still get to do something and feel that accomplishment of working. Do you want to further your education? There's a lot of people that they put off education for themselves because they focused on their children and their grandchildren, and now they want to go and pursue, their doctorate, or they want to go and pursue the education that they've always wanted because they want to tick that off of their list of things that they've done. And I think that's fantastic. Will you be a two-car family or a one-car family? This is a consideration most people totally overlook. And to take it a step further is how often are you going to replace your car? Do you replace your car every 10 years? Because in retirement, that could be a big expenditure. Are you, if you've been in business for yourself, do you normally lease and now you're going to transition to owning or financing a car? Um, that is something to be considered when we talk about your retirement budget. How much travel will you do? Typically, when I have the conversation with clients, is we have three phases of retirement. It's a go-go. So you just retired, you're on the go, you're traveling, you're experiencing, you're touching, you're tasting everything in life that you've always wanted to do that you've been waiting for. The next phase is slow go. So about 10 years into retirement, you want to slow the travel down. Maybe instead of taking 3 trips a year, 4 trips a year, you're taking one or two. And then another 10 years later, it's called the no-go phase, where you're just kind of settled into retirement. You don't have the energy, you don't want to travel, you don't want to do airports, and life really kind of slows down and your circle of travel becomes much smaller. And so we want to be able to anticipate, budget, prepare for that, but also have you enjoy it at the right time. And then the last question is will you start a second career? Some people want to get out of their career. Maybe they had golden handcuffs and they had their pension. So you want to bank your 30 years, max out your pension, and then transition into something where you're not working 100% for the paycheck. Maybe now you're pursuing something because it's a passion work for you, and it's something that you get to feel really good about. You're fulfilled. You'll still earn a paycheck, but now it's you're having impact in the area that you want to do. And so these are 10 of the retirement readiness questions that we ask our clients, and we want to know, was this helpful? Do you need some of this? How is your retirement plan on a scale of 1 to 10? How would you rate it? And is there any way that we can help improve the rating for you? I'd love to hear more. My name is Tyson. I'm with Portfolio Planning. Thank you very much.